Now I'm going to get Bryan on. Let's see, send the invite. Is a great friend of Moms for Liberty. And he is the one I'm sure many of you know. He started Concerned Parents of Carroll County. Hey,
Hey,
Bryan.
happy Friday.
Thanks. Same to you. And so Bryan is just a wonderful resource. And like I said, I mean, we've worked very closely together with so many efforts. So I asked him to come on because I want him to explain what's going on with our state superintendent. So for those of you who aren't aware, Superintendent Choudhury is the man who was, correct me if I'm wrong, Bryan, but he highly advocated for those masks to be on our kids for all those years. In fact, he still wears a mask everywhere he goes to this day. So that kind of tells you a little bit about his mental state. But he is the one overseeing all of Maryland State public schools. And so we've had a lot of problems with him over the past few years. And Bryan created a petition just about a month ago or so after the whole debacle with House Bill 119, where he was trying to centralize the curriculum for the entire state of Maryland and force Carroll County and others to adopt the state standards of the health curriculum. So Bryan created this wonderful petition, and he's really been doing a great job finding out what's going on with Choudhury, and then there's this whole new scandal that happened. And Bryan, can you tell us what's going on with that?
Yeah, so and Kit, thanks again for having me on and for everything that Moms for Liberty is doing for us in the county and the state. So I started a petition, and I'll talk more about it, but it's change.org/protect local education. And House Bill 119, as you mentioned, Kit, was kind of the spark to this petition, but it fits a pattern of behavior that the superintendent has shown since the start of his tenure here. Everything from the mask mandate that was totally unprecedented at the time. He basically overrode Governor Hogan's decision to leave that to local school jurisdictions, and basically did this emergency regulation that just took control and placed it with his office. And House Bill 119 was also another attempt to take local curriculum decisions and centralize that to his office. And then the other thing too is that, in our county, you look at our county and we probably have one of the top performing education systems in the state. Definitely not as funded as well as our neighboring counties, but we do one of the best in terms of academic performance in the state. Yet they
I
can,
think we are the best in among several
yes,
metrics um,
yes.
between us and county consistently.
Absolutely. And so rather than maybe look at us as a model for other jurisdictions, or at least take some ideas from us, they continue to fight against us. They continue to threaten pulling funding from us. And while, they're focused on how we're implementing our family life curriculum and how our opt-out policies are, which recently they did threaten to withdraw funding from us because of those issues, they're hiding the real problems. I mean, the real problems are in Baltimore County. There's 23 schools, as Fox News reported, that have 0% proficiency. And that was a huge story that broke out because it really showed that his priorities are incorrect. And the real issues that need to be addressed, and the kids that really need the help, those problems are being swept under the rug. So my view is that we can't trust the state superintendent Choudhury, to effectively run our school systems. Everybody wants our school systems to be successful for our kids. We can debate about blueprint all we want. We just want successful and smart kids coming out of our school systems, and he's not the right leader to do that. And Fox News has done a great job to share more light about this test score scandal. Really, what happened was they withheld those test scores until after the election, thinking they would influence local school board elections and the state elections. And then when they did release the test scores, they withdrew them because Fox brought attention to those 23 schools that have 0% proficiency in math. And then after that, then they put out this masked version of the test scores to hide the problem. And all the while, our State Board of Education president, Clarence Crawford, has continued to support him. And I'm not sure why. But it's up to us parents to put that pressure on him. We need to continue putting the pressure because I'm convinced, and after this petition that came out, I had 4 different sources from the Maryland State Department of Education coming to me, former employees and current employees, that talked about his workplace conduct. And not only is he a tyrant, outwardly to parents and to the school system, but he really does not have many friends within the organization. And when you have 4 people, different people coming to you with stories that are all line up consistent, then you have to really give it credence.
Yep.
So, and the other part to this too is that as these stories came out, we started to really map out that this is a pattern of behavior that didn't just start here with his tenure in the Maryland State Department of Education. He came from a school system in San Antonio where he was the associate superintendent. And there were similar stories that were coming out from people that worked with him in his role there, in addition to his role here in Maryland, and said they weren't surprised by the actions that he was taking here in the state, and that they were surprised that he got past the screening process. So this is all very concerning, and we need to demand immediate action by our State Board of Education and the President, Clarence Crawford, for his immediate removal.
Yes, yeah, and not only Fox 45, but and Project Baltimore, but also Informed Carroll has done a phenomenal job with following this story as well, with the redacting of the test scores. So what we're seeing, I feel like up until this point, we've had opinions, and people have been able to kind of have opinions about what he's doing and how he's been misbehaving. But now we have solid proof that he is not transparent. He does not want the best interest of specifically Baltimore City schools to thrive. And so this is something that everybody can kind of get on board with.
That's
Every
right.
parent should look at this and say, why is he redacting this data? This has nothing to do, because what he's tried to say is, oh, we want to protect the privacy of the students. Data has nothing to do with particular students.
Right.
So,
and just to add to that, so they took the steps to hide the data of the underperforming schools, but didn't take those same steps for the high performing schools.
that's right.
So if this was about student privacy, then he would have done it across the board, not just for those poor performing school districts.
Yes, he's painting a very inaccurate picture with hiding those scores. So we thank you, Bryan, for starting that petition and for doing a phenomenal job covering it with Informed Carroll and other outlets. Now, what can we do as parents to help with move it along in the process of maybe opening up an investigation on?
Yeah. So the petition, as you mentioned, it's been open for about a month now. We've got about 2,500 signatures, which is great, but we need it to be 20,000 signatures. We need to get this thing viral, and we need to get more media exposure to this. Fox 45 did cover it briefly the other night, and it was great, and we got a little bit of boost from that, but we need to make this front and center. So what I ask all parents is to pass it along to all your friends and family. You said it very rightly so, that this isn't a partisan issue. This is an issue about our kids. This is something that we all can get behind. And we all want what's best for our kids in the public school system. So pass it along. The URL, and I'll post it in the chat here too, is change.org/protect local education. So once you sign, it'll give you some options where you can share it either on social media or by email. Just share the heck out of it. That's step number one.
Okay.
And then number two is I will be in the next few days releasing kind of a process to be able to send a letter campaign. And this letter will be directed to President Clarence Crawford of the State Board of Education and his members, asking for Choudhury's immediate removal for all the reasons we just talked about. So I think between those two things, that'll help put the pressure on the decision makers and the people that Choudhury reports to, which is the State Board of Education. That's where the heat needs to be applied now.
Definitely. Okay. Wow. That sounds like a wonderful plan. I'm fully behind it. And I think every parent needs to really just try to get the word out as much as possible, especially to the people in the city who are being directly affected.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
some of these lower performing counties as well. So thank you again, Bryan, so much. Everybody that's popping on, please go back and watch the full video of this live, and feel free to reach out. I know, Bryan, I'm sure you're happy to answer any questions. I am as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for your support and for everybody who's on this call.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks Kit for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yep, you too. Bye everybody.